Hello, everyone, and welcome to Developing Palates. I am Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is June Liu. How you doing, June?
Doing well.
So today we are talking about the Fratello Oro Toro. Say that three times real fast. So this cigar is 6¼ inches by 54 ring gauge. Comes out of the La Aurora factory in the Dominican Republic. Wrapper is Ecuadorian Connecticut. Binder is Cameroon, and the filler is Dominican Republic and Nicaragua. This is blended by Omar de Frias, and the price point on the cigar is $8.75, and it was released in July of 2016. So with all the cigar stats out of the way, let's get into our pre-light experience. So June, what was your pre-light like?
I had a good pre-light experience. First with the presentation of the cigar. So we got this guy at the trade show, in which there was no band on it, so it was just a naked cigar. So the cigar I thought had a smooth Claro shade wrapper to it. Um, there's quite a few various little minor veins protruding from the cigar. Not a huge deal, but it's just not that. It doesn't have that AC on the cake appeal, right? Seems fairly well hidden. The head finished off with a thick double cap, which I appreciated, and it let me play with the cut if I needed to. Punchy and roll feels well done, with no soft spots and a uniform give. Moving into the wrapper aromas and just the aromas of the cigar. I got out of the wrapper equal parts of pungent barnyard and chestnuts, specifically chestnuts, which I was really hoping for that old take on in the actual smoking experience, which it didn't. But nonetheless, I got a good sniff of it.
It never does. It never does, man. It
I
never,
know,
it never transitions over.
which is why we don't score pre-light, right?
Right.
Uh, Foot aromas provide quality cedar, barnyard, and a little bit of white pepper. Cold draw, got dry cardboard, some faint dry nuts, and a slight bit of like a savory, like a saltiness on the lips. So all in all, good pre-light experience.
Yeah, it has a golden brown wrapper. There was a couple of decent sized veins that were visible. Seams are really hard to spot on this. The wrapper color is really consistent, so it's really hard to kind of get an idea of where those seams are unless you look really closely to it. Looks like there were two caps. They were applied really nicely. There's no like June said, there were no bands on this sample. But what we know from press releases and things like that, supposed to have the standard Fratello band on it with gold as the primary color. And then there's going to be a foot band on it that identifies it as the Oro. The aroma from the wrapper was a mix of like slightly sweet hay and dirt, and the aroma from the foot was like an even sweeter hay. Pre-light draw, it gave me a slightly sweet graham cracker and just like a little bit of a slight spice on my lips. So getting into flavor, first third through final third, what was your experience like?
First, starting out, I thought that immediately cigar was very well balanced and smooth. Um, I had some, kind of balanced notes of dry black pepper mixing with some medium body sweet cream. So kind of adding on to these notes, or like perhaps surrounding these notes, I got some fresh oak, dry earth, and an airy breadiness. Through the nose, I got amplified nose, quite a bit of a nose clearing black pepper. Sometimes when I retrohale and that pepper really kicks in, it's almost like you eat wasabi and it just absolutely clears up your nose.
Mm.
So that's what I meant by that. So in addition to that black pepper, bread and dry oak, the finish, it was a very lasting amount of bread, dry nuts, and tame black pepper. And I would probably say, which I rarely say this, I probably think the finish is probably my favorite part of the cigar. Anyways, in terms of strength and body, medium. Second third, it kind of plays off the same, flavor spectrum as this first third, um, providing still a lot of smoothness and balance. I got dry earth, black pepper, moving to the forefront. And the medium body sweet cream and oak to the secondary. Through the nose, still intensified black pepper, dry oak, but now more of a creamy bread as compared to that airy bread that I once got. Finish lingering with bread, dried nuts, tame black pepper. Body and strength still at a medium. Moving on to the last third. I'd say the most noticeable difference within the last third is the intensity of that black pepper spice, both on the mouth and the retrohale. Um, the pepper really dies down by quite a bit. I said probably like half as much as what it used to be. Um, Still prominent notes of dry earth and oak up front, followed by medium body sweet cream and bread. Through the nose, dry earth, oak, and slight bread. Finish lingering with bread, dried nuts, moderate black pepper spice. Um, Still body stream, just like the first and second, third at a medium.
Hmm. Yeah, initial draws brought a light aged wood that also carried a little bit of a little bit of bitterness, but that was a good bitterness. A few draws in, it was like a very light nutmeg that was in the background, and the retro hill was carrying that same light aged wood note that I was getting. At a half inch in, a little bit of cream joined in with that aged wood, and the bitterness and the nutmeg were still, really light background notes. At an inch in, the age profile of the wood went away, and it became a little bit darker. An inch and a half, that bitterness and nutmeg have gone away, and the profile was just that creamy woodiness. The retro hail carried a light woodiness to it, and then as the third came to a close, some of that bitterness returned, which enhanced the profile a little bit, and the strength was at a mild medium. Getting into the second third, the wood gained a nice toastiness to it, and that was going along really well with the cream that was there. There was also a little bit of bitterness in the background. And quarter inch in, the cream really ramped up, and the smoke was like just very thick. It was just, it was just really thick and chewy. Retrohale was also very creamy, with some of that wood in the background. At an inch in, an herbal mintiness joined the profile of cream and wood, and there was still a little bit of that slight bitterness there. At an inch and a half, the profile was really mixing together well, with that creamy wood, the bitterness, and that herbal minty note. And then nearing the end of the third, that cream backed off quite a bit, and that wood and the bitterness increased, and that herbal mintiness was still in the background, and the strength level was still at a mild medium level. And then getting to the final third, that mintiness moved up front, although it lost that herbal note that it had to it. The creamy wood was in the background, and the bitterness was really just on the finish at that point. Quarter inch in, that mintiness dropped in intensity, and that creamy wood evened out with it. And then at an inch in, the mintiness had moved all the way back to the finish, and that creamy wood moved up front along with that slight bitterness. And then as the cigar came to a close, it was creamy wood, and that slight bitterness in the background, and a little bit of that mintiness on the finish. The retro hill was a nice creamy wood, and the strength in that final third had moved up a little bit, but it was still a little bit below medium. So getting into performance, burn and draw, what was your experience like?
I had a very good experience on burn and draw. I thought the burn was really good. Total smoking time, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Burn line overall very sharp. Ashes held on strong, averaging 1 inch increments. On the draw, it was great. Never had to think about it. Got everything that I had to out of the cigar. Sometimes with Toro cigars, the draw's a little too loose for me. But this one was not the case. It was good. It was just snug enough. So
Hmm. Yeah, the burn for me was perfect. I mean, the burn line wasn't perfectly straight, but I don't necessarily constitute that with a perfect burn. Like, it doesn't have to be razor sharp. It was just, it had a little slight waviness to it, but as long as it's always that kind of that same level as it goes through, I don't have any issue with that at all. Um, Ash held on in about 1 inch segments. I think with a little bit larger ring gauge, it just didn't want to hold on with the weight of the ash. Um, for the draw, it was perfect through the first two thirds, and then it loosened up a little bit in the final third. But it wasn't anything that really detracted from the experience. And each draw on the cigar was just producing tons of smoke. So I had plenty of smoke to go through and look for flavors and things like that. So it's always nice when you can have that experience. So what was your overall experience with the cigar?
I thought it was a solid, well balanced cigar. I didn't find anything particularly unique about this blend in comparison to all the other, fairly recent wave of Connecticut shades that has come out. But of course, that isn't to say that I didn't enjoy it. I did. It was tasty. It was overall smooth, balanced, but more of a linear cigar for me.
Hmm.
And especially within the linear aspect of it, let alone, I'm personally, this is a personal thing. I don't want to commit and smoke a Toro and smoke it for like 2.5 hours in the morning with my coffee.
Hmm.
When I think about a morning cigar, I try to hit that sweet spot of like half an hour to 45 minutes. But, that's just, again, a personal preference. But, on the bigger ring gauge of this, as well as the length of it being so linear, it does become a bit monotonous. And I think I'm a little ADD when it comes to smoking cigars. Like if it's like a big cigar and like a long cigar, I get ADD and I lose interest in it. So, but still very solid core offering from another core offering from Fratello. I know Omar makes cigars that provides flavor over strength, which in that model that he has is totally in my typical wheelhouse. And the Oro is another example, another good example of that. So.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm on the other side of the spectrum from you on thoughts on this cigar. So I thought that this is like a refreshing Connecticut. And I say that because you kind of thought this was in line with a bunch of the other newer Connecticut's. And I think it's not. I don't think it is, but it's just my preference. I think this kind of harkens back to some of the older Connecticut style where it wasn't supposed to be, more strength and kind of more distinctive flavors to like, really change up what people's thoughts are on a Connecticut. I think this kind of goes back to what people kind of traditionally thought of Connecticut's, but it doesn't have that kind of that grassy or hay notes to it. Um, you know, it's got good flavors. It's really mellow. So I like that about this cigar. And when you say that you wouldn't smoke it in the morning with coffee, I absolutely would smoke this in the morning with coffee. Now, I don't get to do that very often because when I'm smoking a cigar, I really like to sit back, relax, and just kind of enjoy it. Now, a Toro wouldn't necessarily be my Vitola of choice, but I would definitely be able to smoke this with coffee when I have the time to dedicate to it. Um, if you're not in a hurry, you want to sit back, relax, have some coffee with it. You want to, read the newspaper, catch up on the news on the web, whatever you want to do. If you just want to sit back, relax, you just want to listen to music, whatever you're doing. I think this is a perfect pairing. And I would say that there's probably just a group of a few cigars that I would kind of classify that way, and I think this fits into that profile perfectly. So, um, Omar, like you said, Omar does flavor forward cigars, and I think this is a really good addition to his portfolio. Definitely his other cigars are. I'm not going to say fuller. They are definitely fuller in strength, but not like at that high end of the spectrum. They're kind of in that medium range with really good flavors, but they're definitely darker compared to this Connecticut. So I think that this definitely gives him something on that lighter side that maybe people that don't like a little bit darker profile. This may be a very good introduction to his portfolio to see what he can do with flavors and things like that. So I thought it was a really nice cigar. I would definitely like to try this in a smaller Vitola though, just to kind of see what it looks like. See if maybe the flavors are a little bit more concentrated. But I wouldn't say anything bad about this Toro Vitola. I think it was really nice. So getting into scores, you gave it a 7 flat, and I gave it a 7.13. How do you think your score matched up with your experience?
Um, the matchup, well, I mean, overall, a good score. Bumped up by very good construction. So 7 sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. My score matches up. I think we were so close on this. We scored every category the same. I just gave it one rating higher on the burn, but otherwise we were spot on. And like I said, I think this is a fantastic Connecticut. It's different than a lot of the newer Connecticut's, but I can enjoy that. And I can respect that as well. So kind of gives him something where, like in my experience, I felt like it was a differentiator enough from the other Connecticut's that are newly released. So I thought it was good. So I definitely recommend people that are fans of Connecticut's definitely give this a shot. If maybe the newer Connecticut's, kind of don't fit your profile, you think they're a little bit too edgy, come to this one, give it a shot, and don't think that just because it's a new release in the Connecticut realm that it's going to be kind of in that same line as the others. So um, I just thought it was refreshing to me to be a little bit different than the other ones that are out there. Any final thoughts from you on this cigar?
Um, I agree in the sense of I would want to smoke a shorter, thinner ring gauge, um, just to see if I get more of a pop in flavors, right? Um, but I mean, when I say Connecticut shades being similar, I mean, I think on one hand, the old school Davidoff of Connecticut, right? You get a lot of musk, get a lot of hay,
Mhm.
very mild in flavors and distinctiveness of flavors, and certainly string. Within the new wave of stuff, there's more body, and sometimes it carries forth with more string, but never touching anything more than the medium mark for me.
Mhm.
For me, that's what this cigar was. It's hard, man. Like it's like within all the Connecticut shades out there, I have yet to have a bad one. I've had
Mhm.
some really good ones. Overall, they've been good ones. But what am I going to spend my money on? I don't think this has anything that I will spend that'll pull my money and my wallet towards this as compared to all the other ones that I smoked.
Right, right.
But it was good, like no doubt. I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, and I think with a lot of things for Connecticut, I mean, I think you have to be more of either you're typically a mild smoker, or you have a frequency of being able to smoke in the morning, kind of thing. Um, so if you're somebody that smokes multiple cigars in a day and you can start in the morning, this is a good offering for that kind of to start your day with. But like I was saying about how it kind of goes back to some of the older Connecticut's is, it doesn't have any of those bad attributes that people put to it, like you were saying, the hay and stuff like that, and the greenness to it. Like it has all the good qualities, but it kind of shucks off all the bad qualities. So it's like what everybody says. Oh, I want this. I want to like a Connecticut, but I don't like all the greenness to it or whatever. Like this doesn't have that. So it really allows you to kind of focus on that good side of it,
yeah,
but stay in that kind of mild medium or just below medium kind of strength level. So
yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. And be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.